So in June, on your calendars, put a little note so that you have reading material in June. Don't buy a new book until July, because in June you have to read something. And that's going to be all this new stuff that we're going to create and generate with all these Tiger teams. What kind of stuff? Well, we got to figure out how we're going to do pretty much everything. Logistics, admin support is going to be affected. We're going from 1 station to 5. We're going from 1 ant to 1 ant. No change there. Where's the ant? There you are. You're not changing. Okay. We're going from, what else do we get? Patrol boats?
Patrol boats.
So all that has to be put in the SOP, and it's not there now. The logistics and administrative support for all that has to be looked at. Like I said, billet maps, evaluations, budget oversight, think nightmare, yeah. And reserves, RFOs, stand team visits, all those things. So quite a bit of writing to do. I know it's your favorite thing. I know you love writing. I know you think it's sexy. We're going to be doing some of it. Can't wait. Right? Can't wait. You're going to be reading in June. Completion, yeah, everybody say, I will read.
I will
read whatever they're writing.
Whatever they're writing.
And I will understand it before the stand-up.
And I will understand it before the stand-up.
That was the most enthusiastic thing I've ever heard you do. We'll work on that. Complete off-code. Well, that's not really ours because we don't get to do that. That's actually headquarters. See, sometimes an incident commander can give headquarters work. So anyway, our part of that is to review it and make sure it's right before they sign it at the headquarters level. And what's an OFCO? Anybody know? Operation Facility Change Order. It's the military's way of providing us money, people, and all of those codes that have to change. So your next OERs and evals are going to have different numbers after July because, so don't just copy last year's. After July, you have new OFCOs, you'll have new numbers. I think the ant and the station are the only ones that get to stay. I think we have to move. We might not, but certainly the air station is going to have a different OFCO. And internal checklist, 100% complete. You can imagine the headquarters sent us a checklist. The checklist is really long, and we have to do all of it before we can accept any financial responsibilities and property responsibilities for all of these stations and patrol boats. So that'll be something we do, and we have to do that before July. Conduct comprehensive internal outreach initiative ahead of significant milestones during transition. Doesn't that sound like a great objective? I don't know. I think it does. Guess what this is?
Internal outreach.
This is internal outreach. That's what that means. It means talking to you. It means getting you involved. It means answering your questions. And it means moving forward with an informed group of employees. Okay, so you're being informed today, officially. Admiral broached the subject. You saw it is actually official. I think when they taped this, it wasn't necessarily signed, sealed, delivered. It is now. Several headquarters people had to sign things, and apparently they're signed. So it is official. We are going to do this. And that said, what kind of things do I think of when I think internal? I think about meeting with different subgroups. I think about meeting with stations and air stations and patrol boats and you. I think about things like hats. I think about things like, Roger, stand up. Please? Can you please stand up? Yeah. Okay, so we have to get a new one of those. Can everybody see his back? They actually, one of those. We have to have a new insignia. We couldn't remember if it was called a patch, an insignia, a unit, something or another. So we have to do those things because Sector Seattle will be gone, and we'll have Sector Puget Sound. So there's more letters. And so artists, prepare your pens and your pencils and your things, because I'm sure that we'll get some help with that. And I hope that you help us with that. Epitomize what Sector Puget Sound is going to be all about. I think certificates. I think awards. I think team building. That's what I think when I think internal outreach. I think newsletters to tell you what's going on. Yeah, thank you for writing that one down. Woo! That's what I think of. Conduct comprehensive external outreach initiatives ahead of significant milestones during transition. Huh. So we tell all the people that work in sector Puget Sound, future Puget Sound, about it. And now we have to tell all the other people to change their addresses, change their titles, change their names, give them phone numbers, tell them who's in the zoo, all those things. Who's that? Industry,
Everybody.
state, local. I think we have a list of over 2,200, but that's just a partial list because now Port Angeles and Air Stations list will get added to that. So we have a lot of friends and neighbors that know that we exist and that like to talk to us. So that said, we want to make sure they know our phone numbers when we change names. So that's that objective. And then build sector field office organization, staffing proposals to cover all missions areas for final operating capability. Thank you. So we're not going to be final in July. When we stand up, we'll be initial operating capability. We won't be final operating capability. What kind of things are we going to have to look at before we can say Sector Puget Sound is 100% healthy, we love it, and we can do every mission that the Coast Guard asks us to do? Well, we got to stand up Sector Puget Sound to see how it goes. We got to test it, right? We got to drill it. We got to exercise it. We got to see what the gaps are. We know where some of the gaps are right now, but we don't know where they are with this bigger organization. And once we do that, we got to figure out what to do about it. Write a list, and then start proposing changes to get to final operating capability. And interestingly enough, there's not one sector in the United States that's at final operating capability. I don't particularly know if that exists, really. But what I do know is that Sector Puget Sound is going to have a couple important things. A fabulous softball team. An excellent volleyball team. A superb team of whatever it is you ask us to do. Well, we'll work on the softball team. So that's what I do know. Now you have some visual aids in front of you, you know, because we thought you should see the boxes. We will later on this week send you the names that go with these boxes, because right now there's billets. So if you all know how many people know your position code? Got it memorized? Not a one of you know your position code? Well, if you did know your position code, you know exactly what box you're in. But if you don't, we were going to put names in there so you can find your name. And we're going to do that and give that to you by the end of the week. Not everything is written completely in stone, especially when it comes to the reserves, because I know that the senior reserve officers are talking right now about some minor changes that they thought would be important. And there's, of course, transfer season coming up.